Are we allowed to swear on this show?
Sure.
Yeah, so, I can't do it, but, yeah, but I mean, using the word,
Yes.
and and all these horrible things. Well, that's become quite natural to me. And I apologize for that, but, so be it.
So we already got some of the gushing out of the way, but should I do some more just on camera? Because it's
Definitely.
meaningless if it's not.
meaningless if it's not taped.
I adore this show and this role, this character. Talk to me about what it's like. Does this feel like a bit of a victory tour for you? You kind of get to go out on a high, I would think.
Well, I mean, I have to say that we poured our hearts and souls into this final season, so it has great meaning to the entire group as a result. And the journey that all of these characters take, not just Selina Meyer, but everyone through to the final episode is pretty intense. Yeah. And fans of the show, I'm hoping very much will be quite satisfied.
My sense is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've played some amazing characters in your career, but even among those, I feel like Selina might be maybe your favorite. I mean, it seems like you enjoy this character to an absurd degree.
I enjoy playing her more than I can possibly describe to you or articulate. And walking away from it is really bittersweet because I've just adored this wretched woman.
Is it just like catharsis after catharsis in terms of like there's nothing more funny than unchecked narcissism than
yes,
just like
exactly.
Right?
Unchecked narcissism, that's exactly it. And a very undeveloped person emotionally. Right. This is a woman who was never nurtured or loved, and so she has crawled her way into existence. And I think it fuels her ambition and drive.
We have 7 episodes to go.
We do.
In the final season. To keep it unpredictable, is that a challenge for you and the writers to kind of figure out how to zig where the audience thinks you're going to zag?
Yeah. We don't want the audience having a sense of, oh yeah, I see where they're heading.
Yeah.
Because you want it to feel fresh and surprising and just from a storytelling point of view. There's not really much I can tease except to say that Selina is at her most Selina.
Right.
And you can read into that a million things, I suppose, but I'm quite pleased with where we ended up.
So, I mean, and adding to the context of this last season, obviously, is the journey that you've been on personally, like a year and a half ago, going through the cancer diagnosis, and I'm just curious, like, did all the cliches kind of come up in terms of appreciating every moment and appreciating this last season in a different way than you ever had before? Because who knew? Like, who knew how this was going to turn out? So,
well, I mean, I guess you could say cliche that came true was that the support and kindness and love that I receive from the people with whom I work was unparalleled and buoying, to say the least. Yeah. I will say that when you're in the trenches, sort of waging this kind of battle, to have the knowledge that this is where I'm headed. I'm getting myself back to work. We're reading scripts. We had table reads during my treatment and stuff. And that was just a tonic. It got me through a lot of stuff in a very significant way. But one thing that came out of this that was surprising to me was that it gave me the ability to help other people who were enduring this battle. What was most surprising about that is that I took great comfort in that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
If you'll indulge me, I want to go back a little bit.
Sure.
Okay. So when you're coming of age and you're just kind of deciding to kind of like make a go of it as an actor and then specifically as somebody working in the comedy space, I mean, nowadays, I feel like we're replete with examples of female actors, female comedians working in that space. When you were coming of age, did you feel like there was a path for you? Do you feel like it was tough to imagine what your career was going to turn into?
I had a drive. Mm-hmm. Like, I wasn't trying to emulate someone. There are a lot of women out there that I admired, but I didn't think to myself, I want that.
Right.
I just thought, I want employment.
Let's start simple. Let's not try to be the second Jane Curtin. Let's try to be gainfully employed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And find jobs that are fun to do.
Back in Chicago, of course.
Yeah.
Do you remember that as a happy time?
Oh, it was fabulous. I went to Northwestern University, and then when I was in school, I started to do theater outside in Chicago. So I was in the Second City touring company for a period of time. And then, most fortuitously, I joined the Practical Theater Company, where my boyfriend and then my husband later, many years later, Brad Hall, was the co-founder of with his friend Paul Barras. And so that experience of working in Chicago sent me in a trajectory that changed my life forever.
Well, and it sent you to SNL at a pretty
Yes.
young age.
Yeah, I was 21.
And that must have been, from all accounts, a rude awakening. You get the brass ring at a young age. I'm at SNL. This
Yes.
is it. I mean, I've made it. How early in those days did you realize it was not going to be?
I figured it out pretty soon. I got to tell you, that first table read was rough. And so it was not an easy time. I was there for 3 years. I didn't come to SNL armed with, a huge basket of characters that I'd been working on and so on and so forth. I was just going as an actress who happened to be, funny on occasion, an actress who got comedic roles. But I mean, you have to understand, I was doing Chekhov while I was in school. I mean, I was sort of considered myself to be a well-rounded actress, but I happened to fall into these more comedic jobs.
But it was more, that wasn't the problem as much as, I mean.
It was a drug culture. It was very male-oriented, not female-friendly at all. So it was not a good time. And, it wasn't great.
I mean, with that, we're not trying to drag people through the mud here, but I'm just curious, like, were your ideas just dismissed? Like, was it just sort of like you didn't have a voice there and couldn't possibly get anybody to listen to your voice there? Is that?
Yes, and also I think that, I wasn't a writer.
Right.
So, and that was hard because then what happened is I had to sort of tried to work with other writers to write material for me to be in. And it was a pretty dog-eat-dog culture. It's a hard show to do. I mean, churning out an hour and a half of material week after week that's fresh and new is tricky.
Yeah.
It was not an easy time.
What's the difference in a situation like Seinfeld, where you're part of a group of collaborators? I mean, you're not a producer, though. You're not an executive producer on that.
Definitely not.
Did you feel like you had a voice in that show?
I did. It was right from the start. I felt respected there. The material that they gave me to do was strong. In the beginning, it wasn't as much material as I would have liked, but then sort of as the series progressed, I got sort of, shall we say, weightier stuff.
Yeah.
Larry David was at SNL when I was there my third year, and that's how we came to know each other.
Sure.
And he was just as miserable as I was, and so we sort of bonded over that, to be honest. And then, Seinfeld happened a number of years later, but during Seinfeld days, I felt like I was working with my friends, and we were trying to make each other laugh, and that was a good thing.
It does feel like, I mean, again, not to put words in your mouth, you've almost like constructed this, especially in Veep, this reality where like it's a great job, but it's also a healthy, happy place for you to live. And breathe.
Yeah. Oh,
and you're an executive
100%.
producer on Veep, obviously,
am.
from the start with
Yes.
Armando at first.
Yes.
What did you want to create in a workplace, in a working environment, given that opportunity?
Well, we have a sort of a no rule, and maybe that sounds funny, but I actually mean it. And the idea was that we're working together as a group. So it's not just like, what's my line, what's give me the funniest line or anything like that. It's ensemble. So, and in addition to that, we hired people who were exceptionally funny, hugely capable actors who were also generous. And that goes across the board, the entire cast, that goes across the board.
There's also this weird collateral effect of being on a show like Veep and being a public figure like you, where we're all armchair pundits now, but when you're a public figure and you're somebody in a show like Veep, you're like, well, she should run. Obviously, she should run.
No, what are you talking about?
But those conversations happen. You know that. People talk about stuff like that. I mean, it's not, we're living in a new world order where like, The Rock is considered a viable presidential candidate.
Right.
Have you ever for a moment entertained that idea
No,
of running for
I
public
have
office?
never. No. My father bless his heart, was always trying to get me to run for office. He kept telling me to do that, but I'm not doing it. Sorry, Daddy.
Has anyone ever dragged you into a secret backroom corner in Washington and said, we've got a plan, we can make this happen for you, we can get you?
Well, no, not quite like that, but it has come up on occasion. But it's not what I do, you know. I wouldn't, listen, I'm not saying that I would be bad at it necessarily, but I am saying that I really like to perform, and as a character, and I don't want to enter that fray. That's not my skill set. You don't have to run for office to impact the world.
Right.
Although I'm not discouraging anybody from doing that
Sure.
at all. You know, if you're a capable, thinking person, run
We could use some
for the hills.
One moment where you did kind of add your voice, and you can discuss it if you want or not, is the Christine Blasey Ford,
Sure.
The Kavanaugh hearings. You signed
Yes,
that letter.
I did.
Was that a no-brainer for you that you needed to kind of join that cause and give me sort of the postmortem of Justice Kavanaugh sitting on the Supreme Court? How do you feel?
Well,
about
I wouldn't say it was a no-brainer for me, but Dr. Ford went to my high school, and I thought her testimony was exemplary and thoughtful and brave. I thought that Justice Kavanaugh's, you know, not to revisit all of this, but I thought he conducted himself not the way a Supreme Court justice should. You know, it worked out the way it did, you know, move on, and we all have. But I do believe, and I wrote Dr. Ford a letter speaking to this, that she did the right thing.
Yeah. On a much lighter note, I think one of the smarter things you guys did on Veep is you didn't talk politics. You didn't talk Republican, Democrat too much. You didn't name names.
No, we never talk Republican, Democrat.
And I think that will hopefully make it a show that stands the test of time, where it's not that doesn't have hugely dated references.
Right.
It's surprising to me in a flip side that Seinfeld, which is very dated in some ways, yet that somehow stands the test of time and is clearly eminently rewatchable.
I think funny is funny, and it translates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you stumble on a Seinfeld episode, does anything make you cringe about?
Oh, please, everything. My look, I could die from that, with that hair and those outfits. But anyway, whatever. Although I just recently heard, I was at a photo shoot, and they said the 90s are coming back.
There you go.
And I wanted to hang myself. I thought, oh, God. You have got to be kidding me. They were trying to get me into these acid wash jeans that come up to here and like shoulder pads. I could die. Anyway, whatever.
At every wedding, is it inevitable that somebody is going to get on the dance floor and do the Elaine dance?
I hope not. I mean, maybe
Does that happen for you? Has that happened for you?
that people did the Elaine dance?
Wait, in your presence?
No, not at a place where people are dancing. But I'm keenly aware that if there's a dance floor, people are watching to see if I can actually dance. And yes, I can.
You know, film is something that you've certainly done plenty of work in, but TV has obviously been where you've experienced the greatest roles in your career.
Yes.
So where are the priorities going forward? I mean,
well, it's about finding good material. I mean, in my life, doing television worked out really well because, for instance, during Seinfeld, I gave birth to my children during that time, and so it allowed me to work and stay at home.
Yeah.
Film work was not the case. You know, doing more film, absolutely, that's a possibility. There is something really nice about the immediacy of television, to a certain extent. I mean, they're always, everything has its own set of hurdles, but at the end of the day, really what I'm looking for is excellent material, which isn't, you know, like low-hanging fruit.
Right.
That's the challenge, is to find that material.
You did kind of the meta reunion for Seinfeld a few years back.
Yes, we did,
Which is
yeah.
the way to do it for something like Seinfeld.
Yes.
Veep, I could see doing the every 5 or 10 years revisiting these characters kind of a thing. Is that something that, even when you were saying your goodbyes, you contemplated?
You know, it was so challenging to get this final season just right.
Sure.
That, by the way, we were considering an 8th season, but then the story dictated, oh, I think 7 feels right.
Right.
And so that's really been the focus. Going anywhere beyond that is like outside my bandwidth right now.
It's hard enough to nail the landing, stick the landing.
Correct. Yeah, but actually, in fact, I mean, I'm still in post-production on Veep. We're still cutting and putting these things together. So I haven't gone there, you know. I want to see how this all feels.
Selina Meyer has a book out. How should we remember the legacy of Selina Meyer?
Well, I want folks to look back at her and laugh at her. I would like them to laugh at her.
Pay no respect, just laugh at her.
No, I mean, you can laugh at someone, and you can respect me, but
Right.
definitely laugh at her.
Right, okay, that sounds like a bargain I
Yeah,
will take.
right.
I respect you, Julia.
Thank you.
I will laugh through these last 7 episodes of Veep.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks for stopping by. It's honestly been such a pleasure to get to know you a little bit today.
Thank you. I appreciate the set that you've put together.
If you want to just move in here, this could be your new office.
Jesus, God.
I'm going to leave.
I think you need a better desk. I got to tell you, there's some issues
It's
with
been
this
through
desk.
some wars.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's not like the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. But whatever, I still appreciate. I'm not complaining. I'm just noticing.
I feel like there's still a little Selena still in there.
Yeah, I think she's coming out right now.